unless I say your name. Okay, are you listening to me? Do not fall asleep. Don't do it. Unless you are one of the people whose name gets mentioned in this video. I have a list of probably 300 names after the last video. Holy cow, you guys blew that one up. So, if your name does not get featured in this video and wasn't featured in the last one, leave a comment. Actually, leave a comment if it is featured. I want to know that too. Okay? Alright. Without further ado, our first lucky person who gets to fall asleep is Eve. Good night, Eve. Thanks for watching, Eve. I had quite a few Eves comment on my last video. Eve, I hope you sleep well, Eve. Here's my little heart for you, sending positive vibes to Eve today. Similarly, we have another Eve-related name, and that would be Eden. Hi, Eden. You have permission to fall asleep too, Eden. Good night, Eden. Thank you for watching. Also, on the same note, I got a lot of requests for this one. I got a lot of requests for Adam. Hi, Adam. How are you, Adam? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Adam. And lucky for you, you now have permission to relax and fall asleep, Adam. Good night, Adam. Next we have Grant. Good night, Grant. Good night. You have permission, Grant, to fall asleep. Good night, Grant. Thanks for watching. Next we have another pretty common name that got a lot of requests on the last video. And that name is Emily. Emily. Hi, Emily. You have permission to fall asleep, Emily. Good night, Emily. And next we have Joshua. Hello, Joshua. There's probably several Joshuas watching right now, so Joshua number 1, Joshua number 2, Joshua number 3, Joshua number 4, Joshua number 5, Joshua number 6, Joshua number 7. Good night, Joshua. You have permission to fall asleep. Joshy, my boy. Next we have, this is a very pretty name. I love this one. This is definitely on my list of favorite girls' names. That's right, it's typically a female name. It starts with an A. It's a pretty uncommon name, relatively speaking. Can you guess what it is? It starts with an A. The second letter is N. Anais. Good night, Anais. What a pretty name. I love that. It also kind of reminds me of Gumball. Amazing World of Gumball. There's the little sister's name is Anais. But regardless, Anais is such a pretty name. Thank you so much for watching. You are a blessing. a blessing. For watching Anais. Good night. Do you have permission to fall asleep? Okay, I should probably check some of these off. So we did Eve, we did Eden, we did Grant, we did Emily, we did Joshua, we did Anais. What about, Lord, you guys caused a riot in the comments over this one. It's a male name, starts with an M. Michael. Oh my god, I think I would have gotten burned at the stake if I wouldn't have said Michael in this video. So, to all the Michaels who were so upset that they didn't get mentioned, first of all, your name is pretty freaking common, okay? So, I don't think you have very much of a right to be upset. I'm sure there's 100 other videos. I'm scolding all of the Michaels right now. Y'all need to calm down. Michael, you have permission to fall asleep. Michael, sorry, my hair is just like, I can't get it under control. Michael, good night, Michael. Alright, we can check that one off. And let's do another M name. This one is a female name, typically. Also starts with an M. Next letter, well, it could be an I, it could be an A. Let's not do that game. Michaela. Hello, Michaela. How are you doing? Michaela, I hope life is treating you well. And if it isn't, I hope you're tolerating it. I know, there's something about your name, Michaela, that's, my intuition says you're gonna get through this, okay? Good night, Michaela, you have permission to fall asleep. Let's check off Michaela. I'm gonna go kind of out of order here because we just checked off like several of the first names, so scrolling. Jackie. Good night, Jackie. Jackie, thank you for watching. Love the name Jackie, by the way. When I was a little girl, I used to name my Barbies Jackie all the time. I was obsessed with the name Jacqueline. And I wanted to name all my Barbies that. There was another name too, if I can think of it. Oh, I can remember what the other name for my Barbies was. And maybe we have some Veronicas. Veronica, you have permission to fall asleep. Now, I don't know where I heard the name Veronica when I was younger that had me like in a chokehold with that name. But I always thought like the cool, like blue girls, the purple girls, they would be named Veronica. I'm just gonna do the scroll again. Scroll. Pop. Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. We could squeeze a few other names into this too. We could say Beth, because Elizabeth may also go by Beth, but Beth could also be Bethany. So, good night, Elizabeth. You have permission to fall asleep, and so do you, Bethany. Or anyone who goes by Beth, really, you can fall asleep. Lucky you. Another nickname for Elizabeth would be Lizzie, which can also be a nickname for a few other things, methinks, but we're just gonna do Lizzie. I'm not calling you a loser, but L-I-C-C-Y or C-C-I-E. Regardless, Lizzie, you have permission to fall asleep, and because it's on my mind, this isn't even on the list, but I'm sure someone watching it will be happy to hear their name mentioned. I have a friend whose name is Elizabeth, but she goes by Paige. You have permission to fall asleep, okay, but only because I said so. asleep, you are in big trouble, young lady. I can't with you, Paige. Always, always, always breaking the rules. Good night, Paige. You have permission to fall asleep. Okay, should I do the scroll again? Alright. Not looking, not looking, not looking. Danielle. Danielle. I love that name for a girl. We also, you have permission to fall asleep, Danielle. We also have Danielle, perhaps. Daniela. You have permission to fall asleep, Daniela. Oh, love that name. Danielle. Daniela. Both are so pretty. And on a similar note, this should be easy to guess. What's another name that's pretty similar? Probably has the same roots as Danielle and Daniela. It's a boy's name. That's right. Daniel. You have permission to fall asleep, Daniel. Good night. Daniel, thank you for watching. Maybe you go by Danny. Danny. Could Danny be a nickname for a non-Daniel? Danny, you have permission to fall asleep. Good night, Danny. Frankie. Hi, Frankie. What a cute name. What a cute name. Frankie, you have permission to fall asleep. So maybe your name is Frankie. If your name is Frankie, you can fall asleep now. But maybe your name is Franklin. 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 If you're a Franklin, good night, Franklin. Or maybe you're a Francesca. What a pretty name. Good night, Francesca. Good night. Do you have permission to fall asleep? You have my permission to fall asleep, Francesca. So let's see, where is that? I lost it. Oh, and also, let's just knock this one out while we're here. Francis. Or Francine. Good night, Francis. You have permission, Francis, to fall asleep. And you have permission as well, Francine. Maybe they call you Fran or Franny. Good night, Francine. Now let's go fill in some gaps of what we missed. So, pretty common name. Another one that people were like, wait, you didn't say this name, it's so common. Okay, you gotta let everybody else have a turn too. John. John. Okay, whatever. You can go to sleep, John. I know you've been awake waiting. I'm just kidding. You're not in trouble, John. But do you know what you are? John? You're allowed to fall asleep. Allowed to fall asleep. So let's mark off John off the list. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's do a girl's name. Now, someone who commented this name told me they only ever hear their name in the context of like fantasy and fiction. So here you go, Raven. Raven, you have permission to fall asleep. Raven, Raven, Raven. Good night, Raven. And I don't know about the rest of you guys. Maybe it's just because of the stuff that I'm into. But there's another name that comes to mind when I think of Raven. Raven. Robin. Teen Titans. Any Teen Titans fans out there? Well, regardless, Robin can be a boy's or a girl's name. You hear it less commonly for boys, but in the context of Teen Titans, his name's Robin, so. Raven, Robin, good night to both of you. I hope that didn't just absolutely validate what Raven said about only hearing their name in, like, fictional context. Sorry, Raven. girls' names, to be honest. Something about it. So it starts with an Molly. Good night, Molly. Love your name, by the way. Molly, Molly, Molly. What does it make me think of? Molly. I'm thinking of American Girl doll, Molly. I'm thinking of the party truck. Let's get fancy with it. Let's pick a different one. But I had someone with the name Sassy comment on my last video. Now, I've never heard anyone named Sassy before, but Sassy, thank you so much for watching. If you're here, are you here, Sassy? If you are, wow, leave a comment. I want to know that. Sassy, good night. You have permission to fall asleep, Sassy. So let's mark Sassy off my list. Another less common name. Let's pick one. Keyshawn. Hello, Keyshawn. Let me mark your name off the list real quick before I forget. Oh, I forgot to mark Robin. Okay, let's see, where'd Keyshawn go? Keyshawn. Well, I lost it. Oh, there it is. Keyshawn, you have permission to fall asleep. Good night, Keyshawn. I hope you have sweet, sweet dreams. And I also wish you sweet dreams, Amaya. Amaya, good night, Amaya. You have permission to fall asleep, and I have permission to mark your name on my list. And also to Phoenix, Good night, Phoenix. Good night, Phoenix. You have permission to fall asleep. Phoenix. Another PH name. Sorry, readjusting. Phoebe. Phoebe is spelled so strangely. Good night, Phoebe. You have permission to fall asleep, and I'm gonna mark your name off, Phoebe. If I can find it. Good lord, there's so many names, you guys. And that's only the first list. I have another one on my phone. Good night, Jose. You have permission, Jose, to fall asleep. Jose. Good night, Jose. Sweet dreams. Good night, Michelle. Uh-oh, neighbors up. Let's hope that it's not too much of a disturbance for Michelle, because I want Michelle to fall asleep now. Fabian. Good night, Fabian. You have my permission to fall asleep. Good night, Monroe. Is Monroe a boy's name, typically? Because, of course, the first thing that comes to mind for me is Marilyn. But I feel like Monroe as a first name is probably for boys, so good night, Monroe. And good night to Marilyn as well. Let's just lump you guys in together. Marilyn. How are you, Marilyn? Good night, Marilyn. You have permission to fall asleep, just like Monroe. And let's just knock this one out of the park. I'm sure plenty of you have this name. So if we're gonna do Marilyn, we might as well just say Mary. Good night, Mary. Thanks for watching, Mary. You are my favorite. I'm just kidding. Well, you're all my favorite. I don't have any favorites. Actually, anyone who doesn't bully me in the comments is my favorite, okay? So, most of you. I actually got a lot of very, very sweet comments on my last video. I very, very, very much grew up, an ugly duckling. So I still very, very much have the mindset of, 10-year-old, 11-year-old Somalia. So when I'm expecting any comments about my parents, I'm like bracing it to open it. So many of you are so sweet. I got tons of comparisons to different characters. I got a lot of Mary Jane, but I get that all the time. I get a lot of Kirsten Dunst. If there's anyone named Kirsten or Kirsten, since I'm on the topic, good night, Kirsten. You have permission to fall asleep from me, Somnalia. Kirsten, good night, Kirsten. And good night to you, Kirsten, as well. I know there's two pronunciations, two different spellings. Kirsten. There's also like Christina. I don't know if I said that in my last video, but Christina. Good night, Christina. And Chris. Chris too. Christina, you have my permission to fall asleep. Beautiful. And Chris. Chris. My intuition is telling me that you are such a strong person, Chris. Okay, so good night, Chris. Shout out to Grayson. Good night, Grayson. You have permission to fall asleep. Right alongside. Is this R? This is N. I don't remember what R is, but Skylar. Good night, Skylar. Cash. Sorry, there was like a bubble. Cash. Cash, you have my permission to fall asleep. Simone. Hi, Simone. You have permission to fall asleep now, Simone. What? You have a pretty name. Thatcher. Good night, Thatcher. Good night, Thatcher. You have permission to fall asleep now. You're allowed to fall asleep. Lucky you, Thatcher. If your name is Thatcher, comment down below. Kaja. Kaja. I got someone commenting Kaja. So, Kaja. You have permission to fall asleep now. Tiara. Good night, Tiara. Good night, Tiara. I knew someone once named Tiara. So if your name is Tiara, shout out. Tiara, you can go to sleep now. Fadi. F-A-D-I, Fadi. I hope I'm saying that right. Fadi. You have permission to fall asleep. Good night, Fadi. And Enoch. I actually am familiar with this name, believe it or not. Shout out Enoch. He actually left me pronunciation guide, but I actually already knew how to say it out of all the people who did not give me pronunciation guides. Enoch, shout out. He's probably used to having to explain it. No worries, Enoch. I knew how to say your name already. So good night, Enoch. Good night. You can go to sleep now. Ariana. Good night, Ariana. Good night, Ariana. Yeah. Jafar. Good night, Jafar. Good night. We have Zyla. Hi, Zyla. Zyla told me her name is spelled X-Y-L-A, like xylophone. I've never heard that name before, so, Zyla. Good night, girl. You're allowed to fall asleep now. Thanks for watching. Hi, Jason. Someone commented just now, like, I just got a notification for another comment, so we'll knock that one out next. Jason. Hi, Jason. There's a lot of Jasons in the comments of the last one, so. Jason number 1, Jason number 2, Jason number 3, Jason number 4, Jason number 5, Jason number 6, Jason number 7, Jason number 8, Jason number 9, Jason number 10, Jason number 11, Jason number 12. All the Jasons. Especially you, Jason. You guys have permission to fall asleep now. Good night, Jason. Julia. Good night, Julia. Maddie, you may be featured. You may be featured. No, it's not Zach. That's not an uncommon name. It's not Zoe. Although, if you guys are watching, good night, Zoe. Good night, Zach. It is Zelda. Good night, Zelda. Good night, Zelda. I hope you have sweet dreams. Sweet dreams, Zelda. You too, Ezra. Good night, Ezra. Sweet dreams, Ezra. Okay. You can go to sleep now. Close your eyes, Ezra. Close your eyes. Max. Good night, Max. You can fall asleep now, Max. Max, 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 Max. X marks the spot where Max is. Good night, Max. Let's do. Lily. Hello, Lily. How are you, gorgeous? How are you, gorgeous? Lily. Girl, thank you so much for clicking on my video. To Lily. Lily, I'm sending a positive energy your way. And you can go to sleep now. You can go to sleep now, Lily. This is a girl's name. It starts with an E. And I'm about to say it. Emma. Good night, Emma. Good night. Emma, Emma, Emma. Relax, okay? Take deep breaths, Emma. Good night, Emma. Well, shoot. I'm just gonna throw one more in there, okay? Closing my eyes. Closing my eyes. Looking at you guys. Andrew. Good night, Andrew. Good night, Andrew. You are the lucky winner. It means you got to watch the whole video. You had plenty of time to relax, but you were able to go to sleep still at the end. And I wasn't even planning on doing another one, Andrew, so do you feel lucky today, Andrew? Are you feeling lucky, Andrew? Good night. Good night, Andrew. Okay, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for giving so much attention to that last video. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all my new subs. What's up, guys? I had a lot of other videos planned for like this week, but to be honest, I was like so shocked and overwhelmed by the attention the last video got. And I was like feeling a lot of pressure to hurry up and put out a part 2, so I'm working on those other videos, okay? But you guys really wanted this one. So I'm doing a part 2, and I know you're gonna ask for a part 3. So I'll make a part 3. Just comment below if you want your name to be said in the next video. Or shit, I can repeat some names if you want. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I am really passionate about ASMR. I love it, love it, love it, love it. I am not one of those ASMR artists who doesn't watch ASMR. I've been watching ASMR since the 7th grade. And it consumes a lot of my time, my thought process. I'm always listening to ASMR. I love finding new ASMR artists. So hopefully I Isn't that exciting? I can be the new ASM artist in your life. Me, Somnolia. So, 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 good night, you guys. Subscribe, like, comment. Honestly, I love the comments. I love, love, love reading them. So, if you don't subscribe, if you don't like, at least drop a comment, okay? Thanks.